So welcome at your opportunities. Welcome, dear opportunity seekers. I am absolutely thrilled to have three incredible, inspiring individuals joining me today on the podcast. Sam Nang, Event, and Giovanna, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today. Today, we are diving into a topic that's very close to my heart. It's personal development. And for me, it's one of the most important journeys we can take. And I truly believe that personal development is a lifelong process. And only by truly understanding yourself, you can really direct the process into a targeted and purposeful direction. But before we dive into today's conversation and all the wisdom you have to share, I'd love for each of you to introduce yourself to the audience so that they can get to know the amazing people behind the insights. And also, please don't hesitate to share what your heart is beating for.
Awesome. I'll let the ladies go first. How about that?
Thank you. All right. Well, I am the Giovanna and YG Collaborations. We are relationship coaches for women, and we help them with the trifecta, which is relationship with self, relationship with time, and relationship with money. And we're just super excited to be here, to be with you, Alex, and to be with Samang as well. And so thank you for having us.
Yes.
And what makes your heart beat?
Oh, God. Everything. No, just kidding. Women, helping women, guiding women, being able to really just help create that life work balance and create purpose and just, we have this beautiful life to live, and it's so great when we see women go through the journey and do the walk and do the work. And like you said, Alex, earlier, it's lifelong. It never stops. And when women and men too realize that, I think life just becomes the world and life just becomes better to live in. So
Absolutely. Okay, and I'm Yvette. I'm the Y and YG Collaborations, and ditto to everything Gio said. I'll just add in. I guess what makes my heart beat is we every year we pick a word of the year, and we also have a goal that we meditate on every single day, and individually and as a team of YGC. But I would just want to say that I know when people listen to these podcasts that sometimes they go, oh, that's you guys, you're coaches. Everything works perfectly for you and you guys are always in this space. No, it doesn't. And so what makes my heart beat is I can just say this, even this morning, I had a wonderful conversation with my daughter last night. I thought about it last night before I went to bed. I woke up thinking about it again. And in my own process of my own personal time, I literally just asked and said, is there another perspective I need to have with this? Not because of her, but like as her mom, I'm like, I want to see everything that she's seeing and feeling. So can you just give me a better perspective so I can just love on her more? That's all I asked. And I got it. I literally, and it was like one of those things that you just go, if I wouldn't have asked, if I wouldn't have listened, if I wouldn't have cared, if I wouldn't have been doing this work on myself, I wouldn't be in that space. So that's what makes my heart beat.
Let's go. Those are awesome. Those are all I'm glad to be here. First off, I love podcasting, contributing, and giving back. So my name is Sam Nang Man. I'm a lifestyle and performance coach. I'm a hybrid athlete and philosopher, and I host a podcast called the Modern Flow Podcast, which Yvette and Giovanna was on as well too. And I'm the head coach at Peak Performance Academy, which is a personal development community that I developed on Facebook in school. The mission is to elevate the collective, and it's geared on working towards my niche, and it's going to be more mission-orientated entrepreneurs for the 2025. So I've been building, and my personal development journey's been long and hard, and I've seen the ups and downs, and I feel like I have the time, and I got a certification about a year now with the Robbins Madonna's life training program. So Tony Robbins, the one of the leaders in life coaching, I went through his program, and I apply a lot of his methodologies and philosophies in my coaching and on myself as well too. So I benefit many ways by podcasting and sharing my knowledge and my wisdom and coaching other people, and through podcasting as well too. So podcasting is something that makes my heart beat, because there's so much impact that happens when we have impactful conversations that could lead to more growth, to lead more insight, to lead more mindset shifts. So that's what I'm passionate about today.
Yeah, thank you so much for the introduction. It's so inspiring to have you on my podcast. And because we already started and dived into the topic, I would ask you, or I would love to ask you, because I think this is really a game changer if you notice. What would you say is the number one limiting belief you see holding people back from personal growth? And what's the first step to break free from it?
I get that. I help people all the time. It's the fear of humiliation. I think that's a big one, of like that spotlight effect of, okay, we start to create content. We start to become a coach, start to become an entrepreneur, we start to become an affiliate marketer or like a podcaster, or to start to blow up their Instagram or anything. That feeling or that thought of like, I have to be perfect is one, right? There's no such thing as perfection. And then we create this thing, like the imposter syndrome comes up, right? It's not really an imposter syndrome. It's something that internally that you have created based on how you see the world. So that's why there's a lot of work that we do in like entrepreneurship or personal development of trying to figure out that identity, because a lot of times people hold back from putting out content that actually would like be impactful for other people, because they're afraid of being judged. And that's, I think, one of the biggest the insight that I've seen coaching people.
Yeah. I'd say, I mean, Gio mentioned what we do. So we focus in on our relationship with self, time, and money. I'm going to say that if you took a sentence and just said, my greatest fear is, like, that's where you're going to find out what people truly are fearful of. But I feel like it's a cone and it just goes up, straight up the funnel. And the number one thing up there is, and I know this is such a biased answer, but our relationship with self, because everything stems from, and that's part of what you were saying, only you're niching it down. Everything stems from what we think. Our past thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, everything that's stored up in here, it is going to come out. And so somewhere in there, once you realize, hey, who I am and the self in here is truly running the show, then you start to go, okay, now I really need to deal with me. Let's deal with me first, because that's just going to be a byproduct, or a natural byproduct will come out of affecting the other things around me. So that's why we really hone in on, well, what is your relationship like with yourself, and being really focused in on that.
I think nobody wants to state, once you go through, start doing personal development and coaching, state the fact that they are in control of it and that it's always been on them. And I think that's the fear of, well, I've already been doing my life this way, and, you know, be 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. The fact that they are the ones that have to change the behaviors and the mindset and become disciplined and really rewire everything they've already done. If we were to give it to them on a silver platter, most people would be like, I don't want to do the work. I don't want to put in the time. It's time and money. This is not, I mean, yes, there's free resources. Don't get me wrong. This is one of them. But truly, like, you know, if it's health, if it's wealth, if it's flexibility, freedom, all that takes time and money. And people are like, I'd rather just finish my life the way it's already been. And that realization of, you are in control, you can do it. And most people are like, but I don't want to.
What would you say is the number one sentence that holds people back is, I'm not good enough?
Yeah. I'm not worth it. I'm not worth it. Or like, why me? Like everybody else. I'm not worth that. So
I think it's for me, when I see people or hear a lot, it's hidden in other excuses. It's hidden like, oh, you know, I got my family. Of course you got your family, but everybody would benefit from you doing like your own personal work. Of course, everybody has a job, right? Those are those excuses that we bury it in. Like, I don't have time to work out. Of course you do. You just choose not to. And I know it's like one of the, us like speaking from like a position of like coaching and everything, but we all deal with very similar tough situations, you know, and having that mindset of growth. Where do I find the options? Where do I find where I'm weak at? And how do I get support in that area? Nobody grows, nobody is perfect. And you made such a like point that like for me it's like it's sad to see that people just give up sometimes and just accept the fact that this is how life is gonna be. And, you know, I podcast and try to inspire people, one, so people don't live in this regret. You know, regret is a heavy, heavy feeling, heavy emotion, you know, that people need to deal with. And doing the work and investing the time and the money and working with people and actually doing the exercises and really making a change is more impactful than just thinking about it.
Yeah, and you also talk about identity shift to create sustainable success. Can you maybe break down what no identity shift means and how someone, for example, can also start this process?
Oh, Yvette is the queen at identity gap and identity shifting. We teach this with our clients, but I think you are the perfect person to answer this question.
I think only because it's like it's what I went through was
Ooh, my
just
whiteboard.
changing my. Ooh, look at we're
Hey, my coach.
I want to hear. Go ahead, coach. Teach us.
You go first. You go first, and then I'll piggyback off what you said.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna simplify, and then I'm gonna really like make it super simple, and then you just open up the box.
I draw it.
To me, in its simplest form, imagine a person on one side of the cliff, and then there's this huge like trench, and you're like, I'm not gonna jump because oh my gosh, I have no idea what's down there, and I'm not gonna make it. And then you have what's on the other side of that is the other side of the cliff, and you're like, that's where I'm trying to go. There is a huge gap between who we are and what the world sees and what we want them to see versus when we try to get to the other side of that cliff of who am I really. So we have to really bridge that gap. We have to make something. We have to like take those steps to go, I'm trying to shift, which I guess you could say, I'm trying to take that leap. I'm trying to move over what my simple thoughts are. And it's so simple. Imagine again, you go into the resources of your subconscious and you go, there's something that I think that I don't want to think anymore. And let's just call it a negative thought. I'm going to take that out. But it also needs to be replaced with something positive that is a truth about who I truly am and that I believe that. So that shift, it doesn't happen overnight. And mainly it can if someone has like a tragedy in their life, if a health issue, like all of a sudden we wake up and go, like the person you meet that goes, I stopped smoking. One moment I was smoking, the moment I wasn't, because they went to the doctor, they said, you will not live another week if you keep doing this. Well, they shifted, they stopped, and they're done. But most of us go through the pain of hitting our head against the wall, hitting our head until we decide, because it's a choice, and we take the responsibility and all the things from the past that we're going to release, and we're not going to blame shift anymore. And then we open up the door to possibilities of the shift. And now I'm going to land it over and go run with it.
Wow. So good. And here's the picture.
Okay, bring it closer.
I gotta zoom in. We can't see.
I did my best. So I don't know if this is my visual interpretation of it.
So yes.
You as a person, this is a cliff here. And to rewire for you to jump over there, you know that you could jump over there, right? You're confident, but you're also very scared that you might die in the process of shifting because it's very dangerous right here because there's a lot of uncomfortable. You don't know what's down here.
That's the unknown.
That's the unknown. You'll have negative thoughts. And with those negative thoughts, you're rewiring it with the subconscious, but you got to add it with more empowering identity work, like words to rewire your subconscious. And then when you get here, you become the real authentic version of yourself, not held by fear and stuff. How was that?
Perfect.
Love it.
I'm like, we can end the show here. This is perfect. We're done. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. You gotta hit everybody with the audio and the visuals. That's why I brought the whiteboard back.
I love it.
To try to help with it.
No,
But
I
yeah,
love it.
yeah.
it's
You want to
great.
add anything else, Giovanna?
No, this is great. I love it. Again, this is part of our coaching, and we have a whole section of this, and it's so important because it also doesn't stop. Like again, once you get to the other side, it's like the ongoing process of wanting more. And I mean, maybe I will add that, like, we're always thinking the negative, we're always making the excuses. It's 8 excuse minimum a day we give ourselves, and that's the minimum. And it's so crazy because the same amount of time and the same process to think of all the positive. So all we're doing is you're doing the same work, the same amount of time, but we're changing the thoughts to positivity and then allowing the true insight, because we all really know who we are and what we want, and like we're just scared. And so we really help as coaches teach that, and it takes time. I mean,
Yeah.
40 years of the negative and the never jumping, leaping, building the bridge, however you want to think of that. It's like, well, we want to do it in a week. Well, that's not going to happen. It's going to take time. And you need to want to do it. We can't, coaches are not responsible for the doing, right? We're here to help, but you have to hold yourself accountable, and that discipline comes in, and the wake up every morning, and if you are not equipped and prepared, you're going to fall. And then you got to get back up and do it again.
Yeah.
Well, and the beautiful process of coaching and therapy are different, and counseling. However, the similarities are there is us, there is our we do have thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and we do need to process all those things. All we do, a therapist is going to go into the past and go, there's a root cause. There's things that are really tying you down, and let's really work through the traumas and the things that you went through. A coach, we recognize them, but then we say, okay, we're almost like the mirror and the frame to say, yes, you are now aware of this. And then it's like, and we love these words, who are you going to be in order to now see a change come about in the very thing that you want to see different? Because if we were being something the first time and we saw the mess, it's like, well, I don't want to be that mess anymore. I want to be something that now creates something wonderful in my life. You have to sit back and go, well, what does that look like? Because we haven't done it before. It's a whole different realm of like, how do I know what I want when I don't even give myself the opportunity to stop and think of what do I want?
Yeah. Let me add one real quick.
What would you
the identity.
What would you suggest that to someone? How can he or she embrace the power of the unknown and transform, himself on this personal journey?
This is one of my favorite topics, but go ahead, Sam, you go first.
Okay. So with what I coach, and it's similar to you guys, everything's in alignment, right? It's almost like there's 3 things that I've created to help people step into the unknown, right? Because this part is where most of the work is done right here in this shift part. We talk about therapy and life coaching. There's some parts that do kind of get close to it each other. But so the first part, like when I talk about and do my coaching, is that there's a mindset check in beginning of the day. Everybody has like a morning routine, things that they do that they could predict that's gonna happen. Your brain wants something to be predictable in the beginning, like whether it be like making your bed, and that's part of getting your mindset in the right place in the beginning of the day. Especially when you're going from here to here. This is unknown. But if you start to have a routine to check that mind, whether it's journaling practice, whether meditation, or doing some exercise in the morning that is mindful to you to get you in the right mindset. And then the identity shifting, that's what they're talking about, is where you starting to relieve a lot of the stuff that you do not like about yourself. We don't assess the things that we don't like about ourselves. And when we go and do that work, that's the work where a lot of people avoid. That's when we start to make excuses of like, why am I so lazy? Why do I procrastinate? Why do I do that? And then when you start to release that, this jump becomes easier because your less emotions are being held by those heavy thoughts that you go. And part of that is learning and having like actual tools. Like the difference between like therapy, sometimes you could go and talk in circles, but in life coaching is like there's some actionable tools that you can use day to day to make this jump. Like sometimes people don't want to jump. Sometimes the people get a ladder and then just walk across. It might take forever. Some people like to jump, you know, like I like to jump, but that's my analogy.
Great.
And what tools would you suggest?
Tools. I think I said this on the last part. It depends on the person. I really think it depends on the person on what they resonate with. Some people are big journalers and writing. When I started personal development work, I didn't start with that. I started more working out. I just had a space and then I started meditating and then I journaled. But there's so many different tools, and those are the I would say the three biggest self-awareness tool is like meditation, journaling, working out, and then also speaking with people that are like-minded individuals to get you inspiration and to really feel that this is possible, you know, to
I'm
change
I'm
it.
gonna I'm gonna say the first step in all of this is you have to create the time that's not interfered with anything else, because they're like, oh, I journaled, oh, I did, they did the checklist. You gotta allow yourself the time, and that's really hard, especially for women, because they're like, I don't have that. And go 5 minutes, even if you're not even if it's 5 minutes of not picking up the phone, you actually did. If it's going to get your coffee, because the giving, say, 15 minutes of journaling, like I've never journaled in my life, right? And then allowing you to go, what would you like? A podcast? Would you like to listen to something? Do you want to watch videos? um do you maybe want to start journaling? Some people don't know how to do that if they've never done it. Meditation, that can be, I remember that word years ago, and I'm like, I don't want to meditate. So it's like, even if you gave somebody the tools, they would look at that list and go,
Yeah.
oh my God. So it's, can you give yourself 5 minutes of uninterrupted time, and then make it 10, and then make it 15, and then start to look at the list. Pick a thing. See if that works for you. Then there's going to be other people that are a little more, I don't even say advanced. It's just like they've already started the time and they're like, okay, because it takes time to develop your routine. We know that, we see it, and everybody's routine is completely different. I've never had a client that can go, I want that routine. If we were like, here are 100 clients, pick a routine. Everybody else is just different. But it's the shift of like, I deserve 5 minutes. I deserve 10 minutes. I deserve 15. And then the more time you allow yourself, and it's like you're dating yourself, you're getting to know yourself again, which most people don't understand. It's like you've got to date yourself and go, okay, what do I want? What do I need? And if you don't like it, then you go, okay, at least I tried, and then I'm going to do something different. And then that starts to become a little more comfortable. And then a year down the road, you're like, oh my God, I wish I would have done that sooner. But then all the things that you start to add in to your personal development and growth, it doesn't feel icky anymore. It feels like, okay, I need this. And then it's that domino effect of all the relationships in your life start to see, oh, something's different. Even getting a coach, not because you got a coach or a counselor, it's you took the steps that you know that you needed somebody to talk to do things with, hanging out with different people, like Sam said. Like, there's just so many things, but give yourself the time first.
Alex, you asked kind of specifically about like the power of the unknown. I think there's another side to that, which there's the doing part, and I totally get that because we're creatures of habit, and absolutely, I believe in repetition and how that really works in our brains. But the unknown to me is you have to have a beginning point. Unknown is unknown, so it's what is your true belief? Like, I don't know what I know until I go back and go, well, what do I know? And where did that stem from? Where does that belief system come from? And from there, again, that's the internal part of who am I? What do I truly believe? Because what I truly believe now is going to start dictating what I do, what I want, and who I am. So going back to, and for most of us, I would say in the Western world, that all goes back to some form of what we call source. What is the source in which I believe the universe is made? How was I created? Like, we go back to the origins of, and because that is the unknown, we don't know. And then the flip side of that is, it's kind of counterintuitive, but it's true. When you don't know something, or it's like you're believing in something that you don't see, right? You take that same mentality and now you start believing in something that you can't necessarily see in your life. Maybe I don't see that there's this relationship that I wish that was better, right? I don't see it. I want it, but now I have the power to start creating in my own mind, in my own space, what is it that I truly desire? And so that now that unknown shifts into, well, now I know. Now I know what I want. Now I know what I want to work for. And sometimes I just think we're funny people. We make things so much harder than what they are. That's why I like going back to kindergarten and going, where are my crayons and the paper? Because this makes more sense in my head.
Yeah, thank you. That's a really
You went very philosophical on that. Some people are like
and thank you. That's a really, really beautiful explanation. I never have thought about. I don't know who made me kind of. And because of this unknown, I also can create my unknown in the future because I also don't know what will happen. But the thing is, so many people struggle with negative self-talk. And I would like to know what practices would you suggest that people, for example, rewire their mindset and think positive to really have this shift that they think, okay, I don't have this beautiful relationship right now or this money or whatever, but I can see it now or I can feel it now. How can these people really shift their way of thinking and also way of feeling?
Man, it's a simple step that nobody wants to do. It's like we know what we don't want. We know all the negatives. And so it's just writing them down. And literally, if you don't know what the opposite is, search it. Yeah. Every time you're having a negative thought, a negative feeling, and then, like I said earlier, it takes the same amount of time. But here's the thing, we're living in the negative instead of, again, write it down. Even if it's once a day, that can be your 5 minutes a day. And you're writing down all the negative thoughts that come or the things that you say to yourself, because a lot of times we're saying these things to ourselves. Write that down and go, how do I feel? You're not going to feel good. And then what would I say that's the opposite? And how would that make me feel? And if that's still too hard, then it's how do I want to feel every day? How do I want to wake up? How do I want to go to bed? And when you start to write down those feelings and you start to see them, you hear them, and you say them to yourself, you're going to start creating those feelings. It is that simple, but it's the mind, the body, and the soul. They're like, I don't want to do that. I'd rather just sit in the negative. But again, if the facts are, it's the same amount of time. Yeah. And you're giving yourself that gift. And then, a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year down the road, all of a sudden you're like, I don't even remember having those negative feelings. I don't remember feeling that way. Or it's the realization of how come it took me so long to start doing this?
Yeah. Yeah. I would say affirmations are, I don't know. We live in a world where we negative talk to each other. We negative talk about each other and to our faces. So we don't wake up. It's not like I woke up this morning and someone said, good morning, you gentle, wonderful soul that is going to give to the universe. You're just so blah, 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 blah. And I hear this long stream of things of how incredible. We don't live in that. You turn on the news and the first thing you hear is gunshot, this, that, all the negatives. So I just think the simple act of affirming yourself first, let your ears hear kind, positive words, because when you go to work today, you may not hear that. You're just going to hear, you didn't meet the deadline. And why are you this? And no. Instead of, you know what, you're doing a great job. Thank you so much for your clarity in that sentence that you sent. I really like how you handle that situation. But you can tell yourself that. And that's the other thing. I think we search so much for outside sources to fill our cups instead of learning how am I going to fill my cup inside myself first and not look for the outside sources, because outside sources are always going to, disappoint us.
Yeah.
But when you learn how to truly love yourself, you're not going to disappoint yourself because right? I know what my favorite food is. I know what my favorite outfit is. I know what my favorite everything is. So if someone just said, hey, gift yourself something, I'm going to have a long list of all the things I know what to gift myself about. So again, it goes back to that self-love.
Self-love. That's so important. Well, what I want to add to the conversation, the words of affirmation, the affirmation for yourself, they're all good. Of course, right? Men specifically, I don't know if journaling or like meditation is like for them, but if it's more for like men, I would always recommend working out. It's one of the most like beneficial to every area of your life. And I've taught it and coached it that you are actually creating a version of yourself already in the gym. So like I'm a bodybuilder myself, and I've been lifting weights and getting a pump in the gym. A pump in the gym is like you're actually building the muscle, and you could actually see the muscle being developed in the same way. So that's why you hear about the benefits of working out, exercising, because one, you are changing your physiology. Right. If you wake up in the morning, you go straight to the gym or whatever, you're actually changing your state from like a rest state to like a more or like a different state. So it shifts you into like a more empowered state. Like when I do podcast recordings or when I need to bring a lot of energy, I try to work out before I jump on a podcast. So working out for men, women specifically is such like if word or like affirmations and meditation is not your thing, gym, right? Gym is such a good way to spend time to yourself. And I know people say that you shouldn't call gym therapy, but to some people it is.
Yeah.
It's a form
Yeah.
of therapy.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and it's also it's a weird because we always tell people to read the five love languages because it's great for yourself, but it's great for all relationships. That's like an act of service towards self. And
Mm-hmm.
people so words of affirmation may not be something that men love, and I can agree with that. It's more of, but it's not for everyone. But knowing your love language, understanding all the love languages, and then that's what works for you. Because again, no one's gonna go, "Oh, honey, it's time. Let's go to the gym, and let me drive you there, and I'll drop you off and pick you up." Like that would
Yeah.
be an awesome partner, but that's not their job, right? The job is, okay, I'm up, I'm ready to go to the gym. This is an act of service towards myself. And I think that's great to you have to know that. And that goes back to like two questions ago. It's like, where do you start? Okay, well, do you even know your love language? And most people are like, no, I have no idea. But I know my partners. And I go, okay, but that doesn't help you right now. That doesn't really help your partner or your children because again, like Yvette said earlier, it is nobody else's job to fill those voids and to fill your cup. That is your responsibility. And we go and we look for that. If it's the next diet, if it's the next course, if it's the next, in 90 days, you're going to make $1 million in your business, we're ready to, because it's like, again, we want that instant gratification instead of going, okay, you know what, maybe I should read this book and listen to the podcast and give myself a good 6 months to figure out, can I give myself 10 minutes a day? It's these like tiny, tiny steps, has nothing to do with anybody else but yourself.
And what tools would you suggest to gain, for example, clarity, especially for someone who maybe has big dreams and constantly feels blocked to act? Because, yeah, I think, or for me, it was like this before I started my podcast. I felt blocked for 1.5 years, and I was like, oh, I can't do this. And then I started it, and then everything like came into action, and now I'm here with you today. And I'm super happy about that. But
What sparked your from that year and a half? What got you to do this
Yeah.
podcast? Guys, thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast. My name is Sam Nang, and I just wanted to take a moment and thank you guys for listening to the Flow In, Flow Out podcast. It's been great to have your support, and I want to tell you a little bit more how you can support the community and how we can support you as well too. So, if you like the Flow In, Flow Out podcast, the message that we're putting out, the information, the content, please subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel on Spotify. Please like it. Please share it. Please share an inspiring message. It helps with the algorithm. It helps get the message out to people that need it. So that would be greatly appreciated. Now, if you are in need of more personal development support in those areas of physical fitness, nutrition, mindset, spirituality, anything in that type of area, please book a discovery call with us. We'd love to help you. We'll get some time on the schedule to chat about what your struggles are, how we can help you, and we'd love to support you in that way. And if you are interested in being a part of being a guest on the podcast, please let me know. If you have an inspiring story, you have something that you want to share, if you have a message that resonates that's similar to what we're sharing here on the Flow In, Flow Out podcast, we welcome you to be part of our show. We're super excited where the growth and the community is growing. So we look forward to having you here, and we look forward to working with you. And thank you guys so much for the continued support and the love, and we'll continue to keep putting out the good vibrations out there to help elevate the collective vibrations. And thank you guys so much. Was
You
there
tell
something?
us.
Yeah.
Well, I read a book about procrastination, and then there were some questions I needed to ask myself. And one question was, why don't you want to have this success in your life? Why don't you want to have this? And then I saw that there was a blog about success from my family. And I was like, no, I want to start that now. I see the blockage here, but I want to break the blockage. And I just said, okay, I will just do one record and then I will see how it goes. And then I continued and continued, and then everything went on. So for me,
Yeah.
my tool was asking myself questions, and the game changer was this book about procrastination.
Yeah.
Awareness, seeking, desire, taking responsibility, and making the choice.
Yeah.
All opened up the avenue. And then you went seeking for what was speaking to you, which is amazing.
Thank you.
I like it.
I know. There's the answer in five things.
That's a lot of answers in coaching, and it's helping you find your own answers. And when you find your own answers, it's more powerful than somebody that gives you answers. For me, it's like the introspective work. Like, why do I want to do it? Asking yourself genuinely, like, why am I going to the gym? Why am I writing? Why am I doing these incantations? Why am I attending these courses? Or and it's just action, working with people that are like-minded, coaches, lots of things. It just depends on, and more importantly, I think it's just taking action, right? You took action, read the book, and you found and had that awareness that, and books are tools too, right?
Yeah.
People don't, that's one of the tools that I use for a while as well too. It's audible books and reading books. So those are tools. And in a way, it's like personal development. It's like a mix and match on whatever works for yourself. You develop your own personal philosophies, and how you explain it, it's to your own.
So what would you say is really one non-negotiable habit, or, for example, ritual that you practice daily that has been a big game changer for your life, for growth, and also for your success?
Oh, that's a great one. I would say beginning and ending my day with me, even if it's only 5 minutes. Because just like we have great morning routines, all of us, I'm sure. And I love the 2 hours and sometimes the 3, but we live in the same world as everyone else. And sometimes you wake up and it's like there's a leak, and then this happened, and someone's not ready for school. And I'm like, okay, I can choose to go in the overwhelm, or I can still say, I have 5 minutes right now. I'm not going to deal with any of that. I'm going to center myself. If it's getting the coffee, if it's just being with myself. And then the end of the day, I think we forget how impactful that is. We know how we feel before we go to bed. Like, how do I feel? I rate my day, even if it's only 5 minutes, on 1 through 10, because then I am allowing myself to go back during the week and go, okay, what are the behaviors and the emotions and the actions that I took each and every day, so that A, I had a great day, I know, and B, if I had a horrible day, I know. But it's not fair to go next week, well, what did I do Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday? So how that looks for everyone. It could be different. It could be the walk, it could be the gym, it can be meditation, but the 5 minutes before you hit the door running and then the 5 minutes before you go to sleep is like a non-negotiable for me. And that's not no phone included, like no phones.
I'll alter that, but if you narrow it down, for sure, meditation, but all forms of meditation, because for me, meditation is as simple as just pausing during my day, taking a breath and being like, okay, I need to really just like be in the moment, to the actual sitting or laying down and listening to a meditation and or walking myself through something that's a more form or like sound bath or whatever. But like there's, to me, there's all the different things in between there. But meditation, and I think for me, because my brain usually is wired to just go 5 million miles per hour, and I'm like, I'm asking the why, but I also learned that my first layer of like, okay, I did ask myself the why. I didn't stop. It was like, well, why? Well, why? Why? I mean, I think I was 2 asking why. I was one of those kids. But why is this, Mom? Why? But I didn't stop and pause and really listen to myself. I just asked the question. So for me, the pausing is the meditation and the different forms in which all that come.
Yes.
For me, if I was to pick anything that is a non-negotiable, would be working out. For me, I'm such a physical person. I push myself to a lot of limits, more than usual, and I'm a very ambitious person. But that for me fueled a lot of my personal growth and energy and feel good. Like, because when I work out, and I've been working out for 24 years now, like lifting weights specifically. I'm 39 years old, and I've almost developed all my discipline and philosophies while I was in the gym. And 99.9% of my workouts are about myself, actually. It's like really like, that's kind of like I know there's a lot of people that want to work out with me, but I
You're like,
don't
nope.
want to work out with people because it's such a place for me where, like, if I need to cuss, if I need to cry, if I need to lift heavy, if I need to just sit on a bench or something, I'm okay with it, because for me, I'm so comfortable in the gym that it was like my second like home, right? I step into almost any gym, it's like a home. People go to restaurants and everything. Like for me, it's like I love going to new gyms. I love meeting some of the folks there and just chatting, and it helps like change my routines up sometimes. But for me, it's working out because it gives me such a good feeling while I'm working out, because it feels like you are actually productive and do something. That's like, even if I don't do anything that day and I worked out, I'd be like, that was a pretty good day. Majority of the time, right? It's a pretty good day if you got to go work out in. And I try to instill that in people, that the benefit of going to the gym and putting the work in it is a lot of effort, but it's also a lot of effort not doing it. Then you're gonna have to put that work, or like going to visit the doctors, having to getting the pharmaceuticals, having to get the medicine, right? It's the same effort. But this is, for me, when I coach, it's like it's one of the most productive things that you could do, that could benefit in almost every area of your life. You look better, you feel good, you're confident when you're speaking, you're coaching, like when you're interacting with people, because you just have a different type of aura. And for me, every time I've worked out and just been consistent with it, it's just bring a different level of energy.
Yeah, I can really relate to that, because since I'm working out almost every day, like I said to myself, 2 days a week, doing nothing is okay, but the rest of the week I want to work out. I'm also like, every day I'm not training. I'm like, I should do it. I should do it, because every time I feel better, and I'm like, you see the progress. As you said before, you all the time see the progress. And yeah, I also think that setting goals, not just physically, but also for your career, is very, very important. To jump over to the next topic, what would you say if someone struggles with setting goals, is really a game changer?
No, I think everybody struggles with setting goals, because it's like they want the checklist. Everybody wants a checklist. And, for us, it's a little different, because our goal is something that you've never achieved, but it's also something that you don't know you need or you want. So it it's that, and it's something that takes a long time to create. And so again, it's the time that you're taking to invest in yourself and listening to yourself and talking to yourself of like, what are my wants? What are my non-negotiables? Like, what am I no longer going to allow in my life? And then start to dream and have that vision, because it can be for your career, but it really needs to be for you, because you are attached to your career. So for anyone that's in that, like, what do I really want? Nobody knows. Like, no, we've never asked someone, go, tell me what you really want. And they're like, tell us. They're like, I have no idea. So it's really, again, understanding that, you've never tools and resources, and giving yourself the time to do that.
I think that it's going to be the new year pretty soon, right? And the number one thing we hear is people want to lose weight, or they, oh, I'm going to go back to, like, we're talking about the gym, go back to the gym all of a sudden. Well, if you ask yourself why is that a goal? Why am I working towards this? What is my why? It's going to link to your motivation, because if your why is, which I'm just going to say sometimes this is people, I'm going back to the gym to lose weight because I just want to look better. Well, why do you want to look better? Because I don't know, I just feel fat. Well, why do you feel fat? Well, because, and I'm just making stuff up, but my husband and I really aren't very sexual anymore. Well, aren't you very sexual? And like, you kind of keep going down, and all of a sudden that why turns into, well, if I could just lose weight, then my marriage would be better. Okay. That why isn't for me to say yes or no, like, because I'm not the universe, I don't know, but you have to go back and go, is that the true motivation that you're really, why are you truly in the gym? Because if you think that being in the gym is going to save your marriage, then go back to the why and go, is this truly the root reason as to why my marriage is falling apart? And then if you are honest with yourself and you go, well, why do you think that? And you go, no, it's really because, I don't know, 5 years ago, something happened and we never walked through forgiveness, and it's been awful ever since. Okay, now you can get somewhere. Now the goal is, I want to create a space where we can walk through forgiveness, whether that's we set up a counselor, a therapy session, marital, blah, 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 blah. Not that you don't go to the gym, because that's a whole separate, like, you may feel better in your sexiness, but the real root cause is there's something that happened and that needs to get mended. So again, goals are amazing, but find the why so that you figure out what your motivation is to really get to the root of, because that's going to be your motivation moving forward.
Nicely said. Well done. I guess to add on to that, I think like goals, I think we give so much attention to goals, and like it's almost like the weight, the scale, how much money you make and stuff. There's it's something to aim for, right? So I drew a little target. It's something to aim for, right? But if you're expecting an outcome and when it doesn't happen, it could really demoralize you and change your confidence and like not give you the momentum that you want. Targets are okay, even if every day you're shooting at a target, you're shooting darts and stuff, it's like, okay, are you getting closer? Are you getting better? Who you become in that version of chasing that goal? Because goals, they're actually not meant to be attained, because if you set goals that are attainable, they weren't scary enough. They got to be a little scary, right? So they're just targets that you're shooting for. But if you focus and shift your attention on who you become in the process of doing that action, if you focus on who you become on going to the gym every day, you become a disciplined person. If you focus on doing hard things every day of the week, you become a courageous person, right? If you do the act, you become that person. And the goal itself, it's arbitrary, like nobody really cares what goals you hit. But if you're a person that could actually like help and like add value to it, that's a lot better,
But if I have, for example, a really big goal in the future and I struggle because I have all the time negative self-talk, and I don't feel like that I can reach this goal, what practice or exercise would you suggest to shift these thoughts and also to rewire this mindset?
I'm going to be bold here and go hire a coach, because that is what we do. Is we help you, we come alongside you, we support you. And it's like, again, we'll go back to the gym. It's like having that trainer. Like, yes, I could go to the gym right now. I was an athlete. I know what I'm supposed to do, but there is nothing like having someone next to you. That's why you still have classes. I'm half asleep. I go into the class and someone's just telling me, Yvette, do this, 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 and this. Well, sooner or later, after 20 sessions of Yvette, just do this. I don't need them. Like, I'm like, I don't need that voice. I already know I got my system. I got my routine. Same thing. But I know this sounds crazy coming from the coach, but if someone's really that stuck and they're like, really have this really great big goal and I really don't even know where to begin, and I got all these issues and I've been batting my head against the same thing over and over and over, which we all know is a definition of insanity, then get someone who is credible to help you sift through all those things and create a roadmap for you that's going to help you through the process of getting to where you want to go, so that you're not alone. And they're also supporting you, teaching you, giving you the tools, because the goal is that you're learning and growing on your own 2 feet. It's just a temporary, like, here, we're going to kind of lift you up a little bit and get you going, and support and get you going in the right direction. Do the coaches want to add to that?
I think that was spot on. I would just say, if you have big goals, which is good, you're in the right direction. Hiring a coach is a great way to hold accountability, and it's better to get started on it than procrastinate. Whether how big the goal is, you could always start in any kind of form, right? It's the excuse that we make, that we have to actually hear something about 60 to 80 times before we actually take action. You cut that action down to like 0 and avoid like those limitations, those blocks and stuff about like money, obstacles and stuff, right? If you get good at overcoming obstacles, that becomes like what you do as personal development, is you're trying to overcome these obstacles of growth, and simply just breaking it down and just doing it simple, that eventually what you do today will have a bigger ripple effect later. That's like, I guess, sacrifice, but
Did you want me to add? Because I feel like those were 2 great examples. We can.
Okay.
It's hard. Most people make hard goals. Like, they're goals that aren't achievable because they've never, like, we deal with this all the time. Everyone's like, I want to have, make $20,000 in a month. I'm like, great. What was your highest month? $2,000. Okay, well, let's do $2,500, $3,000. They like, small goals are actually way better. And then you achieve it and you create this consistency, the routines. And then you said something very important. It's like the self-sabotage. I keep on saying that the beliefs, the goal should be, forget the goal. What am I saying to myself? Am I saying one great thing to myself every day? And how am I changing the feeling, the negative feeling I read? That should be the goal. And when you can do that consistently every single day, or the 5 minutes in the morning, or getting to the gym, people are like, oh, I'm going to go work out every day. How many days a week did you work out last month? 1. Okay, can we focus on 1 a week? Like, going to the gym 1 a week. But that to them is not a big goal. That's huge. Again, we tell people, if you can't start 5 minutes, forget ending. It starts with the 5 minutes, 2 days a week, 3 days a week. So it's going back to, let's look at, is the goal even achievable when you haven't even started? And the goal should just be the thoughts and the things that I'm saying. Let's just flip that, and that be the goal for the next 3 to 6 months. But most people are like, oh, well, that's not going to do anything for me. But 100% will.
But it takes a long time to achieve some of these goals.
Mm-hmm.
It's the time frame sometimes where people quit. That's this and that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
what I'm saying. Like, if I could say, for every client, which we are visionaries for our clients, and we could give you an estimate timeline. It's going to take 3 years for you to hit this amount of money, to have this many people on your team. I promise you, most of our clients would be like, I don't want to wait that long. Like, I don't want to
Yeah.
wait 3 years. I don't want to wait 5 years. How do I make that happen faster? It doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. That's the same thing with like the gym, or like, how you look on the outside without doing plastic surgery. It's going to take a really long time to get to that look and that feeling. If we had that ability, most people would say, no, I'm good. I'm going to keep on living how I am and figure out how I can do it faster and quicker, which goes to time and money. They're wasting their time and they're spending way more money than to do what we're telling them to do now.
Yo, preach. Preach.
I'm just gonna say one of my pet peeves, and all the coaches out there, you send me the hate mail if you want to. That stop promising people. Stop promising people. If you do this in 90 days, if you do this in 2 weeks, if you do this in 90. No, I think that's a false sense of hope. Number one, everybody's situation is different, and it's not fair to put that kind of, again, that's more pressure on the outside world telling you, if you just do this one thing, that's all over social media. Contact me because I'm the person who can help. Nope. Nope. Now, if I heard someone that, almost like Gio just said, guess what, guys? I can help you, but you first have to make a decision. It's your choice. You're gonna have to take responsibility, and are you willing? Now, let's open up the door to see your goals, your thoughts, where you want to go, and we'll create this roadmap. The road may take 6 months, it may take 6 years, it may take 6 decades. But if you truly want this, then you'll be willing to jump on the road no matter how long it takes, because that's what your true desire is. No one's saying that. When was the last time we heard that on social media?
That's so true. That's so true.
Hey, that's our new 2025 marketing strategy for YGC. I'm ready. I'm ready. Keep transcribing. Come on, let's go.
Be authentic. No apologies necessary.
Which is
No apologies.
which is also, and again, this is not a sales pitch for any of us, but it's also why our business is so successful, because our clients are our success. They are like our living testimonials, and people see the difference. Like, we're very different coaches in the fact that we coach in person, where most of our community and our clients are in person, so kind of like a therapist in an office. But when we're all together in our communities and people are they're talking, women are talking about these women in such a positive way that it's like totally different than what you're used to. And they're like, what are they doing? Where are they, like, who's your therapist? Who's your coach? And like, kids, it's like cool. Like, people want to have talk about mental health. Like, who's your chiropractor? Who's, like, there's all these layers. It's not just us, but it's the person that they've become is because they're like, it's finally time to invest in myself. And it's it's your team. It's like building your dream team, but you're paying them instead of them, and they're paying you in the results of who you get to become and the life you get to live. And then there's no like, yeah, you outgrow your coach, but there's other coaches. Like, I would love to be in my client's life forever, but then we have other coaches and we have therapists and we have these tools and resources of people. It's like, let's go, let's like give back. And so it's so nice to see that, to live in a world that Yvette and I have created in person, and women get to come and see that. I think that's like, I can't wait for that to spread all around the world, because it's happening. Like, either you turn your head and you're like, I don't want to do the work and I'm going to go live in this other world, or you can come and live in ours. And I think it's so important to do the research. We talked about this in the last one, is do the research too. There's so many coaches. It's the number 2 industry in the US right now. So you have to take time to figure out who the right coach is for you. It may not be us, but most people are like, again, let me go on social media, let me scroll. This looks great. And then nothing happens.
Yeah. Well, Alex is a true living example of how the word is getting out. The world is being connected in this space of self-love, self-care. Like, who am I? You could be a whole different person in a whole different country, raised completely different, eat completely different food, get up at a whole different time zone, and you're still asking yourself the same questions. Who am I? Can I be a better person? How do I make this work? 2025 is coming up. I don't like this. I don't look like that. And look at Alex is on the other side of the world and she's doing the same thing. So it goes to show that I really do think that there's a shift in mental mindset, bringing the world closer together. It's not, I wish it was exactly like, I can't wait for 20 years from now to see where this is all gone and how many doors even are open for Alex as she brings in just the thought process, to where she is, of the expansion, and how, I know this is like big dream, big thinking, but I hope that I'm still here on this earth when we get to see and I'm including me in our generation of coaching and mind thought and mindfulness, how that changes economies, global thinking, politics, every global whatever it is that our world is thinking, how that shifts and change.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's powerful. Whatever you guys said, it's in alignment, and finding alignment in our messages and being around people that are collaborative and have the same vision is extremely important. And finding alignment, that's a word that I didn't really know until maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, but personal alignment on what your purpose is and what you want to give back to society, to I call it the collective. It's like we're all in the same boat, trying to be better, trying to coach each other. You guys made so many good points about different coaches and different growth areas and how to have these different tools. We all have many different ways. There's all these shouldos and kudos and wouldos and everything, but it all comes down to like the action that's taken and the action to shift. Right, our mindset is shifting. You guys are leaders, we're leaders. You're bringing the message to is it Germany that you're in?
Austria.
Yeah. And I love it. I think that's our first conversation, and I was like, oh, I'm so glad that it's went out there. And remote coaching and like the mental health space and all that, it ties in together. I think it just overall it benefits everyone.
It's like having family or a sisterhood, a brotherhood of people of like-mindedness, that I promise you, if Gio and I went to Austria, we'd be calling you Alex, going, oh my gosh, like, who do we need to meet? Where do we need to go? Where do we need? Because we already know, like, we're all on the same page, I guess. And even though we didn't grow up together, it doesn't matter. And Sam, like, if I'm not kidding you, if today, and I'm going to laugh when this happens, today I run into a gentleman that goes, listen, I have been needing this. Do you know some guy that really gets workout and goals? And like, I need a dude. Excuse me. Yes.
That's me.
Because I've heard you. I get your heart. I know where you're going. We're not exactly the same, but our hearts and our journey are in alignment. So it'd be easy to go, yes, connect with this person because he's going to be an amazing coach for you. That's the amazement of the podcast, virtual, connecting the worlds, and not to get like weird, but it's really connecting our energies together, and our soul beings are really being connected no matter where we are around the world.
That's like the mother. I love it.
And I think the shift is already happening. And I have been to South Africa, if you may have seen, and I met also so inspiring people. So I think the shift is happening nowadays around the whole world. But the funny thing is that today I received an email and someone told me, Alex, mental health is not really like the best labor you can get, the best thing to do, because in Austria it's like not nothing special. You shouldn't like to become a coach in this area. And I was like, okay, very interesting for me, because all around the world it's plopping up and it gets more and more and more. And here in Austria we are kind of 5 steps back when it comes to this. And I'm like, okay, I want to change that. And I see I am having this motivation in myself to really get a big gathering, a big community who really can spread this message that everyone can become the best version of himself, that everyone can fulfill his dreams, whatever these dreams are, and that it's so important that everyone is going for his dreams, because as you have said before, we just live once, and this is why it is so important. Because I think 3 days ago I heard I think it was on a podcast, someone speaking, and he said all the people who are old and who are like in pension and stuff like that, and they are like 80, 90 or something like that, the only thing that they regret is the things they haven't done. And this is why I want that everyone is really going for the bucket list and do the best out of their lives.
Well, you can send them when this
Yeah.
podcast is aired. You can just send them this podcast and be like, "Here you go. You are so welcome. Here's the gift of what you don't know."
Yeah. You know, the podcast and all this, it's like a little ripple effect in the universe. We're getting a little weird and like metaphysics and stuff. But yeah, it causes a ripple effect. You might not see it, but technology and how we are connected to each other and how we could share our message, we're helping each other elevate just a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very beautiful.
Yep.
So thank you again for having the podcast episode with me today. And to sum up, what would you say is one final piece of advice you'd give to someone ready to take their personal growth to the next level?
I would just say, if you're ready, you need to pause and celebrate thanking yourself for giving yourself that, because that is that's already a huge step. That's a goal coming into fruition. So be in it, love yourself for making the decision, and just know that that's the beginning of literally the next chapter of your life. So that's a beautiful place to be in.
I'll just add, not that this is negative, this is supposed to be a positive. It's going to be messy. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be new. It's going to be all those things, but it's an adventure. And I have not met one person, seriously, I've never met one person that just didn't start doing the journey and working on themselves and just say, okay, yes to myself. I've never met anybody that regretted it. If anything, you just listen for hours of, oh my gosh, this changed and this changed and this happened. And like, I've never heard of anybody who regretted it.
Awesome. I guess my best advice, I'm 39, I'm getting ready to turn 40, and a friend of mine asked me the same question. He was like, he was turning 40, and I gave him this advice. He's like, I said, anything leading up to 40, just consider that research. You know, research, there's failed experiments, there's setbacks, there's positive parts, there's things that you could learn, and then take that time, right? Because after 40 or a certain part of your life, it's about unlearning a lot of the things and really assessing what works and what doesn't work. And if you're in a phase where like you think your life this is it, think again, because there's coaches that can inspire you, there's courses, there's books, there's something that could help you get over that hump and becoming like the master yourself. You know, for me, it's like all about mastery, controlling your universe and who you bring into your network and your community. And part of this podcast and this journey has been me reaching out to other people that are very like-minded, and we created this. So
I love it.
our third one.
The first one is out in the universe somewhere in the it's in the multiverse somewhere, and I love it. Not some other version of us is somewhere else, but yes, thank you for having
This one is like 10 times better though. I can tell you that. This was 10 times better. All right. I'm gonna hit that stop button.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay, we're good.